Hey, everybody. This is Caleb Welch. I am here in Client Mind Studio today, and we have a very special guest. His name is Mark Gardner, and I have had the pleasure of working with Mark for now, 10 years maybe?
About 10.
About 10. And I worked for him through a company, then I worked directly for him, and then we've always just had a great friendship and a great partnership afterwards and always collaborated on different things. So, Mark, I just appreciate you coming down to the studio today. And the goal is we want to promote this new product you've got, right? And I want you to kind of just give a synopsis of your career before we get into some of those questions. Just a quick highlight resume of what you've done and where you landed now and why you're here.
Wow, a synopsis for 71 years is pretty tough to do quickly, but came up through the ranks in the trucking world as manager and eventually vice president of safety. Joined Progressive Insurance in the late 80s to head up their safety group. Left there and created my own company called Avatar in 1990. Principally doing safety and developing education, training, and systems for truck and bus companies to reduce accidents and losses. Almost immediately, I was forced into the path of a dump truck head on and almost killed, which was ironic given my background in safety. But at that moment, I dedicated my life to making the world a safer place. And I've spent the last 40 years developing custom adult education and training programs to help people be safer and to avoid accidents.
Perfect. I knew the story, but I didn't think anybody listening did. So I wanted to recap that because I think it's important as to why you're in this space and why you are so passionate about it. And without, highlighting the details of all that, you went through a pretty big life-changing event that caused you to be so passionate about this area. So, Mark, we're here today. We're talking about Instructor Mobile. I'm kind of wondering, what inspires a 70-year-old man at this point in his life to say, you know what would be really cool? I've got enough money to retire, but I really just think that I want to start a new business and I want a new company, the whole 9 yards. Give me some background here.
Okay. I'm going to go back and say it began with my wife saying, "What are you doing starting a company at 70 years old? Are you crazy?" And I said, "Well, I think I have some more juice left in me. I've got some more fire in the belly and I want to do things to help others." And along the way, we've developed over 2,000, maybe almost 3,000 adult training programs for a wide range of industries to make people safer. But along the way, I realized we put people in a classroom, we show them a video, and then we take them out to a bus or a truck and we say, "Now we're going to show you how to drive." And there's very little transfer of knowledge between that classroom and going out there. And so what we learned was people learn skills by doing. Whether it's tying your shoe, playing a guitar, hitting a golf club, a golf ball, you have to do it. You have to practice. And usually that's done by a trainer showing you what to do and you copying their behavior. We learned in 2020, we had a program called Behind the Wheel Finishing School, and these instructors were out with a trainee for 6 weeks at a time. And it was also about the time when most people were learning to go to YouTube to fix their toilet or put in a cabinet. And they said, "Well, we have these videos. Why don't we cut them up into little 1 or 2 minute pieces so that we can show the person exactly what we want them to do while they're in the truck?" And that became such a powerful learning tool for skills. I was actually embarrassed that for 35 years, I had been developing adult education and putting people in classrooms where it was not very effective. And so with this brainstorm of, hey, I can use a tablet or a cell phone to actually teach the people how to do something, I said, well, let's leverage this. Let's make this into something. And that's the actual genesis. It wasn't actually my idea. It was these trainers going, why can't we use these little videos to show the driver in the truck?
I mean, it's a good point though, right? It's like that light bulb moment, right?
It was a light bulb moment. And it was, like I said, I was a little embarrassed and chagrined, but at the same time, we realized the power of making the training consistent across trainers and locations and companies by showing one person doing it the correct way rather than every trainer saying, "Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to use your signal. Let me show you how to change lanes," and everybody kind of making it up on their own. So on the job training is really the act of a person who's experienced showing you the ropes. They're saying, "Here's how I make French fries," or "Here's how I empty a bedpan." But that person's not necessarily a trainer. They're just the person who was there that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so instructor takes your best person and shows the best way to do it so that when the trainee watches that video, oh, I see how I'm supposed to do it.
Gotcha. So let's help pin this down though, because I think what you just explained makes sense to me, but I also know the product. So let's talk a little bit. When it comes to the training piece, I think everybody understands the words learning management system. They know what an LMS is, at least anybody that does any kind of serious training. But from what I'm gathering, and I think what we need to make sure is clear for listeners is this is a skills training system, not a learning management system. So I think for the sake of what our purpose is today, help me break down the difference specifically of a skills training system like Instructor Mobile is versus the traditional learning management system that other people have probably used for years.
That is an absolutely perfect question. Thank you, Caleb. An LMS, the learning management system, is designed for someone who sits at a desk and sits in front of a computer. It spews out videos or things to read or pictures and occasionally has a quiz question. And usually, after 30 or 40 minutes, there's a quiz at the end to verify that you've taken a course on sexual harassment or diversity or whatever it may be. Learning management systems can be powerful tools for teaching knowledge, concepts, ideas, having you memorize things. They are not effective for teaching people skills, which are how to do things. No one ever learned how to swim sitting in front of a computer. So,
True.
Instructor is the world's first and only skills training system. It's designed specifically for two people, not one person, but two people. A trainer holding it in their hand, showing a video and an explanation to a trainee on the job to learn a skill. And in America, there are 132 million frontline workers who do something physical in their job. We called them essential workers during COVID, if you remember.
I do.
They had to go to work and drive the bus, or they had to take care of mom in the nursing home.
Mhm.
These are the folks who learn their job by doing the job, not by sitting in front of a computer or going through an LMS. LMS has a certain value and benefit for people who need to know knowledge, but a skills training system, fundamentally different, is to show you how to do something physically.
And I think I understand it more now, but I understood it to begin with. I think the people that we're trying to reach, and for those that haven't seen a skills training system because it's new and it doesn't exist until now, I don't think that that's as easy to make the correlations or the differences even. They just think it sounds like another training, and that typically gets people in trouble because I sat through a lot at Lowe's, how to use a safety cutter, right? But I never had anybody force me to go out and cut a box and prove that I did it the right way on video and save that video of me cutting the box appropriately into my personal file. And I think that's a huge difference too. So I don't want to jump. I'm really just kind of flying off the cuff here. We had a little bit of scripting, but I'm just jumping off the cuff here. Help me understand the actual benefits to that piece then. So I went out and I showed that I can use this safety cutter correctly, and I've got it on video now, and it's in my personal file. What's the benefits of doing that consistently throughout all of the trainings across all of your employees?
Let me address it by saying think of Instructor or skills training system as two parts. The first part is to train the person how to do the job, and we do that with first a statement of WIFM. What's in it for me? What's in it for you? And it's a benefit statement like this will make you safer, this will make you more productive, this will make you richer, this will keep the boss off your back. Then a detailed explanation of what we expect you to do. We expect you to lift this, put it here, open this, cut this, put the blade away, whatever. A clear explanation in one or two sentences, followed by a video, which is no more than a minute long. Often they're 30 or 40 seconds long, with a person demonstrating what to do. So on the training side, we explain the benefit, the expectation, and the video. Then, like all skills are learned by doing and practicing, we allow the trainee to do it. Under the direction of the trainer, the instructor person, if you will, who is watching them and coaching them, they make a few mistakes. And mistakes, by the way, are good. We learn from making mistakes. And
Absolutely.
particularly early on, it's really good to make a few mistakes before you hurt somebody. So they do their best to do the skill. While they're doing that, the trainer's watching them, observing them, and maybe coaching them, but he can also or she can also take a video of them and show it to them. And we learned this because one of my employees was taking golf lessons. And he goes,
Hmm.
Mark, the pro takes a video of me swinging the club and then shows it to me. And I realize, oh, I'm not keeping my arms straight. I'm not keeping my head down. So we show a video to the trainee and say, here's where you screwed up. Do it again. Okay, so that is part of the coaching process as well. But ultimately, there's a documentation side to instructor.
Mm,
And this is where it's incredibly valuable for certain occupations like truck drivers, nurses, or any place where you might get sued because you didn't train somebody properly. So, on the documentation side, as the trainee reaches proficiency, the trainer can tap a little button for each of the proficiencies or subtasks within a skill that says he's or she is proficient at this now. They can record the person doing it correctly, to your point, put it into a digital file to prove to an attorney down the road sometime, yes, this person knew how to do it and we trained them. And one other wonderful feature is at the end of the training session, we debrief the trainee and we have them sign the screen. That confirms that they've been through the training. They admit that they know what they're supposed to be doing.
mhm.
And at a later point, they're not going to say, oh, you didn't teach me or you didn't train me when they wipe out $100,000 machine.
That happens more often than we think.
It happens every day. Each of these features, by the way, was driven by somebody that I knew who said, can it do this? The signing feature, my buddy owns a steel company. He says, Mark, I got these knuckleheads. They screw up and they'll wipe out $100,000 piece of steel. And they said, well, you didn't train me how to do it. He goes, couldn't you have them do some kind of a signature thing or something so I can hold them accountable? And that's exactly how that feature came about. The proficiencies came about because the government in 2020 came out with entry level driver training and said that a trainee or a CDL driver is proficient when the trainer says they're proficient, meaning there's no standard. We're not going to define what proficiency means. It's up to the trainer to decide. And so we added the proficiency checkpoints. The video came about because of our friend Mr. Misney up in Cleveland, who
Mhm.
has billboards all over, who's going to make them pay for all their sins and sue them and get your justice back. If you have a video of the person doing it correctly, he can't come after you and sue you for not training. He may sue you because the person got hurt. Let's
Right.
say you spill fruit on the grocery store floor and the person slips and falls and he sues, but he can't go for negligence. He can't go for punitive damages because you can prove that you trained this person not to let the grapes hit the floor.
That makes sense. And I think that's important for business owners, though, and for managers and people that are in charge or responsible for large trainings and even small trainings. How well you train someone is going to dictate how well they do the job, but it's also going to give you an idea of how well you're protected should something bad happen, even if it was an accident, because that's how these things happen.
It is. And interestingly, the government posts that average frontline worker makes 45 mistakes a day. Now that's an incredible number, and obviously many of those mistakes are little tiny boo-boos like, I forgot to bring the screwdriver with me into the room. But 45 mistakes a day adds up, and
Mhm.
eventually one of them is a big mistake. Chi-Chi's went out of business because people didn't wash the green onions. Literally, they didn't wash the green onions. They chopped them up, put them in the salsa, put it on everybody's table, and lo and behold, 14 people die. They went bankrupt because one person didn't wash green onions. This is why training is so important and why
Mm.
teaching people to do it correctly is so important. So yes, on the front end, teaching them to do it right will save you millions of dollars just in mistakes. But proving that they were trained can protect you from millions of dollars of losses when they do inevitably make a mistake.
Yeah. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I went through the original training with you guys as an employee at Avatar, there were statistics around how many small mistakes lead up to a large mistake, right? So I know that you mentioned, eventually it'll be a big one, but there's a scientific mathematical equation to that, correct?
H. Heinrich in 1918 studying accidents and injuries in the industrial sector. He was an insurance guy, came up with what it became known as the domino theory of accident causation. And it goes like this. He said, and I'm going to go in reverse. For every fatality or major calamity or horrible accident, there were 29 events that took place that were injuries or maybe noticeable and documentable that were driven by the exact same behavior as caused the fatality. And for each of those 29, there were 300 identical behaviors that went unnoticed or uncorrected. So put it in reverse now. I run through a red light, no harm, no foul. I run through a red light again, no harm, no foul. I run through a red light maybe 400 times, and all of a sudden I have a fender bender. But on any given day, I can run that red light, the exact same behavior, T-bone a car and kill somebody. Same behavior. And so accident causation is all about understanding that you don't get excited after the fatality. You get excited when you see an unsafe behavior. And this is my passion for safety. We want to correct unsafe behaviors. We want to reduce those so people are less likely to have the one. If I make the 300 shrink down to 20 or 30, the 29 goes down to 4, and the one disappears altogether.
Yeah. And I remember that specifically, which is why I wanted to bring it back up, because it ties so well into the next piece that I wanted to dive into, which is, so we've covered the benefits of the employer and the legal side of things. This guy says he didn't get trained. He's suing me. But this piece, when it talks about how quickly a large mistake comes out of small mistakes, let's talk about the benefits to the trainee. What do I get as the person being trained this way versus traditional methods?
No one wants to screw up on the job. People want to succeed. It's hard to get a job, first of all. Once you do get a job, you want to protect it if at all possible. So when someone comes to work, they don't intentionally screw up. They may make mistakes, certainly, and those mistakes are often innocent mistakes because they don't know any better. Instructor ensures that the person gets the correct training, the correct demonstrations, the correct explanations, the correct reasons why it's a benefit to them. They can learn and practice under the tutelage of a mentor, a trainer, if you will. And in addition to that, they can go home and on their tablet or on their phone, they can watch not only the demonstration videos and read the explanations again, they can watch the videos of themselves doing it so that when they go back tomorrow, to your point of using a box cutter, if they didn't use it right, they can look at themselves. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't use that. I see what I need to do tomorrow. So they can, it's almost like homework, if you will. They can go home and study their own videos and learn how to master these skills.
And that's what I wanted to cover, is there's a benefit on both sides. As much as somebody might think, oh, well, this is just a way to protect me from lawsuits, this is way bigger than that.
Is, and think about all the people that maybe got fired or quit because they were incompetent or not able to do their job and just got frustrated and said, I just can't do this job. What if we could save 5, 10, 15, 20% of those people's jobs, get them productive, get them on the job? And this is particularly, for me, profound if we think of folks entering the workforce at the $15 an hour level who might have an opportunity to become successful at the front line and perhaps raise themselves up to a supervisor or maybe even a manager one day that otherwise would have scrolled through 5, 6, 7 low paying jobs throughout their lifetime and ended up on welfare, God knows what. This is a way to help people and to help them grow and prosper. And I'm most proud of that, really.
Yeah, I would be too. And I think what this offers is, I don't think enough companies truly, they think they do. I will say this, and maybe it's a bold statement. I think a lot of companies think they have a great onboarding process, and I don't think they know how bad it really is.
Lord, it couldn't be any worse. Yeah.
I know it's bold, but
big companies in particular bring new employees into a room, sit them down, show them some PowerPoints. 3 or 4 different departments come in: HR, legal, IT, branding. Each department comes in and gives a spiel for 20 or 30 minutes. Then they hand everybody the rule book. Here are the rules. And they make you sign the first page of the rule book and they rip it out and stick it in your folder so they can hold you accountable. I liken this to dating. Can you imagine meeting the love of your life? And the first thing he or she does is say, here's the rule book, sign this page 1 so I can hold you accountable. You'd run. It would be freaky. Onboarding should be a big, warm, wet kiss. It should be an embracing, thank you, Caleb. I'm so glad you joined our company. We needed somebody in your role, and you're here now to help us succeed. And we're so glad, and we're going to help you succeed, and we're going to pay you on Thursday, and we're going to give you benefits, and we're going to treat you right. And in return, we expect your level best effort to perform well and to help our team move forward.
right. But then it's not followed up. Right. That's when I say by the onboarding, even if the onboarding's decent, even if they did those things, what's the next step after they say, we're going to support you?
Classic. Here's what they do. And it happened to me, and I know that it happened to you. It happened to me when I was 19 working in a machine shop. Here, Tony's going to show you how to operate the drill press. Tony's just some knucklehead who's been there for maybe 4 or 5 months working the drill press. But that's who I got put with. Tony had hair down to here. Of course, it's early 70s.
That's fine.
He shows me how to do it. And there's 10 of us, all 19, 20 years old, working drill presses, just drilling holes all day long. Right after lunch, the guy that trained me, Tony, this is really his name. Tony leans in to the where the drill is going around, and his hair gets caught on the drill, and it spins around, and it grabs a great big giant chunk of out of his. Now he didn't bleed or anything, but all of a sudden he had a bald spot the size of a tennis ball here,
Mini
and
Christmas.
he got hurt. I mean, he bad headache, etc. But we're all laughing because he's a knucklehead. It's like, come on, you what a dope, right?
Mhm.
This is the guy that trained me. And that is essentially how training happens in America. McDonald's, go work with Al. He'll show you how to make fries. So you get fries that are soggy, you get fries that are burned, you get fries that have too much salt on them, you get fries that don't have enough in the bag. It's all over the ballpark. Instructor makes that more consistent so the person can succeed and the company succeeds.
Yeah. And that I wanted to tie that back in because I think it's so important that the message that I don't think people understand about Instructor Mobile, A, is it hasn't been out long enough that we've really been able to push the details. And B, I want to separate it. I want people to understand the value that it brings is way more than just training. It's a part of it can be an entire part of your onboarding process. It can be an entire part of the consistency and quality that you're going to get regardless of the person that's coming in. Everybody comes in, and we've talked about this for years, different skill sets versus abilities versus, I can't change it. I'm 5'10". I'm not gonna be able to just magically tomorrow figure out how to work out and become 7 feet tall. But I can change how well I communicate or how well I can cut a box. And I think what Instructor Mobile offers is an ability to be more consistent with the people they're bringing on board to jobs that are repetitive, not the job itself, but they're always going to need a tech, a frontline worker. Those people are going to get promoted. Some of them are going to get promoted. Some of them are going to leave. Some of them are going to get fired. You're always going to hire for that bottom role or that mid role. And Instructor Mobile gives consistency that every single person has been trained appropriately.
And to that point, I want to point out that instructor is not ideal for learning soft skills. It's not ideal for learning how to work an Excel spreadsheet or sit at your computer all day.
Sure.
Most of the white collar jobs can be learned through an LMS and experience and knowledge and higher education. This is mainly for jobs that are physical. Think plumber, electrician, carpenter, janitor, truck driver, nurse's aide, people who do something physical, making beds in a hotel, making burritos and making them consistent so somebody doesn't have too many potatoes in their burrito. This is all about consistency on the front line for a physical worker. And that's what it's for, on the job training for a physical worker.
So then let's jump into the on the job training piece of this, right? Or OJT, right?
OJT.
What in your mind, I want the listeners to maybe get your idea behind this. In your mind, what's wrong with the traditional on job training or OJT? After all, I mean, it's just about all of us that went through some kind of this version. I've been through several in my career. Where do you think those things have gone wrong, and how does Instructor Mobile correct it?
Well, again, going back to my story, Larry, the person you were put with on day one, when you started a new job that's a frontline job, it just happens to be the person who is handy. He or she was there that day. He or she had some level of experience. If you think fast food, their experience is probably 5 weeks.
Yeah.
If you think of a machine shop or a carpenter, maybe their experience is a couple of years. But being good at a job, being skillful as an electrician doesn't make you a good trainer or a teacher. That takes a whole different skill set and a whole different knowledge base and an approach. So actually, we used to call it the Great SME Challenge. Subject matter experts make lousy teachers because they're so smart and they're so good at what they do, they have a difficult time teaching you. Think if you took a tennis lesson from a pro. They're thinking about how much wind is going to be coming across the field when they hit that ball. You just want to get it over the net. And so they are at such a high level, they can't come down to your level. Instructor does that. Instructor comes down to the level where the person is at when they start on day one. It teaches them the basics first before we get to any other advanced skill sets.
I call that meeting them where they are.
Meeting them where they are is a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Meeting them where they are. And so instructor provides more effective on the job training, more consistent on the job training, and it's modeled after how each of us has learned skills for 50,000 years. I mean, throughout history, we've learned how to use a bow and arrow or fix a wheel on a chariot by watching somebody that knew how to fix chariots.
I absolutely. I mean, it's crazy how long it's taken us to get here.
I'm embarrassed that I spent 35 years making what I called training programs that weren't. They were educational, and people
Mhm.
sat in a classroom and they certainly learned, oh, use your flasher 3 times before you change lanes. But there's a big difference between sitting in a classroom or sitting in front of a computer and sitting at the wheel of an 80,000-pound rig. Big difference.
I mean, it is a huge difference. So let's talk about the courses themselves. Let's dive into that. I think a lot of people they get the concept now, but do they understand how it works?
Perfect. So, first of all, to put a bow around that concept, Instructor Mobile is what I call a delivery platform.
Okay.
It delivers training. So, if you think the newspaper boy brings your paper to your door, that's what Instructor does. It's not the editor, it's not the writer, it's not the photographer, it's not
Okay.
the publisher, it's the newspaper boy. So, how do we get that content in? Well, because Instructor is so valuable for so many different occupations, when we first launched, we said, you can create your own custom content for pennies. And remember, I was in the business of making custom courses for big companies for 35 years. Many times they would spend more than $1 million developing a course for one occupation. This allows an employer using a cell phone to go out with their best fill in the blank drill press operator and
Mhm.
record the person. And now I've got a training program for drill press. And so it costs nothing to make a custom program. And you can make it with your own people, your own machines, your own work environment, and specific to the needs that you have. However, it seems so vast and so big for so many people that like, well, wait a second. I've got nurses or I got surgeons or I got tree trimmers. And how do I get my head around this? It's like, whoa. And so what we have done is recently we've built content that's suitable for a lot of companies. We've built one for tree services and how to chop down trees and use a chipper and not get ground up.
Mhm.
We have them for bus and truck operators. We have them for tanker operators handling hazardous chemicals. And most recently, we've launched a very comprehensive course for OSHA safety training
Mm.
because everybody has to do OSHA. And now, arguably, nowadays, it might be lost a little bit of its teeth uh, with our current administration, but it's still, you have to abide by OSHA regulations. You have to have lockout, tagout, and confined space, and PPE and fire protection. And so, for 52 of the most prominent OSHA standards or requirements, rules, if you will, we've developed content. And that content includes the WIFM, the explanation, a short video, proficiency checkpoints, and it's suitable for number of different types of occupations, but it's best suited for anyone in manufacturing, such as machine shops, distributors who have forklifts. It's got a complete forklift certification built into it. They call them powered industrial trucks, OSHA does. But that content, then, we're just providing that for free with Instructor so that people can get started. But now imagine this, you have a machine shop. You thought, well, this is a pretty good idea. I should try this out. It's only a couple $100 a month. And you start and you're using to train your people on OSHA. But then you realize within a week or two, hey, I've got a process over here where I make these parts. I can go over there and record that, and I can add that to this course. I can add more courses. I can add assembly courses and manufacturing courses, and I can add a course on welding, and I can add a course on painting. And so now the even semi-ambitious business owner manager can start to blow out a whole curriculum.
Okay. So this isn't just about skills training on the job, what they're doing. This is let's customize this and allow them to do it.
It is fully customizable, which brings me to another point which I forgot about, another huge benefit. I have a friend who bought, of all things, an awning company. You'd think awnings? They make 53-foot awnings for Formula One racers that mold on the side of a trailer that go out to a racetrack. They bought this company for a couple $1 million. It has 20 employees. I think not one employee is under 65 years old. So she bought the company. She's trying to figure out how they sew the canvas, how they put the windows in, how they weld the aluminum frames. And she was going around like crazy because she thought, these people are going to retire or die. And my business is not worth anything if they leave because we have no young people who've come up the ranks. When I introduced her to Instructor, She almost kissed me. She goes, Mark, I can document every single work process we have. I can record it before this person retires or leaves, and I can use it to train new people. But more importantly, I want to sell this business in 5 years. And when I go to do that, I have now documented over 200 different skills and
Mm.
processes here that make this business 3 or 4 times more valuable because I'm not just handing them a book that says, here's how we make awnings.
You know what? I don't even think you and I have talked about that.
I didn't even expect to have that happen. It came out of the blue. And she goes, that's not the benefit for me is making my business more valuable.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about the sale point, right? So at some point, someone's going to sell a business, and being able to hand over, it's almost like buying a car in a way. When you buy a car from a one owner that has every single receipt of changing the tires, rotating the tires, putting air in the tires, you think you found a once in a lifetime opportunity because that's documented. You know everything that's been done to that car. A lot of times we buy cars and we go, well, we think it had the oil changed, but we're not sure.
We hope.
We hope they did. The value that adds to the business when someone's going to then purchase it is astronomically.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is particularly profound for people with less than 100 employees. It's a small family style business, this lifestyle business making $1 million, $2 million a year, but it's just perfect for that. And I hadn't even thought about that.
No.
She came up with, again, Instructor has been driven. Many of the features, which all bring with them benefits, but many of the features have been driven by the users. The users who say, I need it to do that. I need a person to sign. I need proficiencies, or I need a video. Misney's coming after me. These are all features that have been brought about because people had problems. Instructor solves real problems.
I can see that from our conversations to the demo that I've been through and being in the software. I think what was hard for me originally, our very first conversation about this concept was like everybody else, and what you've discovered is it was wrapping my head around it. There was so much that you had in this vision that I went, yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm not quite sure I know how to put that into application right now.
Well, most of we went to some trade shows early on, and to a person, the people that walked up to our booth, and there were many LMS companies, there was a training show. And they said, wow, this is so amazing. This is so different than an LMS. This is what we need at CVS. This is what we need at Publix grocery stores. This is what we need at Baker, whatever. All these companies came up, these training people, and they said, this is amazing. And then they kind of locked up because they're like, where do I start? How do I get going? And we didn't have any content at that point to say, well, here's an OSHA show. Here's a truck driver training program. So see how this works? We'll do more like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine we were giving somebody a blank chalkboard and a piece of chalk.
Yeah.
Instead of starting with some sketches and say, it's like this. We were actually guilty of the very thing that we're trying to teach, which is to learn by modeling and copying someone else's behavior.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes more sense. So how many courses do you think you have total? Just to throw out a number.
We have 4 occupations that consist of roughly 100 different units of study.
So somewhere along the line, somebody can find use if they feel lost right at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, for show and tell, for sure. And definitely in the manufacturing machine shop area in OSHA. In the truck world, we have a fully developed and federally approved ELDT course, meets muster with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety. We have one for buses, and we have the product stewardship for people who handle nasty chemicals in tankers. You don't want to spill it on the ground and cause environmental damage. So any one of those could be used as a sample. Any one of those could be used for those industries where they are buying it now. And we're also working on one for frontline electricians. And we're finishing up one for tree services, people who arborists, we call them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chop down trees around high tension wires.
I just had a 90-foot tree taken down a couple years ago, and it's a job. So I can imagine the amount of safety measures and protocols that have to be followed.
Hard hats and eyeglasses and gloves and chaps so you don't chop your leg open.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
So I've got just a couple more that I want to dive into. I don't think we've really talked price, and if that's something that is flexible, that you don't have it pinned down based on company size or something, we don't have to go that route. But I would like to give some people out there an idea. What But does a system like this where I can create custom content and you have content for me, I mean, this has got to be pretty pricey for me every month, right? To have all of that capability and deliver it to all my employees.
I'm going to go back to my first answer. I'm 71 years old.
Okay.
I didn't create this company to become wealthy. I created this company to do good.
Okay.
We have this price so low that it's less than a dinner. So people with just a few employees can start for free.
Okay.
Actually, everybody can start for free, and our pricing's on the first page of our website. Most people watching this show are going to be under $200 a month. So
Okay.
you have all of that functionality for a couple $100 a month. On the high end, companies with 5,000 employees are like $1,000 a month. And so it scales very nicely, and it allows people to develop their coursework, their custom training for themselves for pennies compared to what I used to charge millions of dollars for this.
Well, and I think about it this way too. For those listening, thinking, I don't know if I still want to spend that kind of money per month. Let's put it into real perspective. Do you know how much it would cost to get even a fresh 2 or 3 year graduate of college that specializes in safety and law to come out and work for your company to manage the things that you could teach inside of your own company with this price? You're not going to get them for 12,000 a year.
No, no, you're not going to get them for 12, and they're not going to be as good or as efficient.
Correct.
Seriously.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the perspective. It's at the highest side at the largest company. We're talking $12,000 a year. And that's, again, yes, it protects you legally, but think of the consistency and the quality that's going to come out of utilizing a tool like Instructor Mobile as your training and onboarding piece throughout the rest of the time the company exists.
Think about eliminating one mistake in the year that was a $12,000 mistake, and guarantee they happened.
Oh, yeah.
You're training 30, 40, 50 people, or think of the 4,000 or 5,000 mistakes that each of them made in aggregate that were all $5 mistakes. This thing pays for itself in spades.
Yeah. I guess I didn't realize it was getting to that stage where that is not just affordable. It's a no brainer.
It's a no-brainer. I want to get it out there. I want people to use it. Again, if it makes a little money, great, but I'm set.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is help those people become more successful in their job, help those businesses become more successful in their business, and by doing so, add wealth to the nation, add happiness to people, allow them to be more productive and effective,
Absolutely.
right? That's the win for
Mhm.
me.
So let's talk one other thing on pricing, and maybe this isn't been thought of yet. I don't know. So I love the idea. I have use for it in my business. I say, "Yep, Mark, I'm ready. Let's sign up." Also, I don't have a real good skill set at creating content. Like I know which ones I want. Can you guys assist with that?
We can. It's a bit of a departure now because our staffing is skinny. All right. And yes, I have IO psychologists and instructional designers that I can bring to bear on that task, and we can provide that help. It wouldn't be where I would lead, but if somebody says, "Hey, I really like this, but I need some help," Westinghouse, as an example, is getting
Mhm.
ready to use it in their plants where they make nuclear pellets to go into fuel reactors, and they need some help on the instructional design front as well. And so, company that size, $1 billion company, yeah, we're going to put some boots on the ground there and help them develop
Sure.
the designs, right?
Okay. I mean, there might be people out there that go, "This all sounds great in concept, and I see
need
the
help.
vision, but I need help."
I need help.
Yeah.
There's one other thing on the pricing I forgot to mention. They can cancel anytime. This is not a contract. You sign up and you're using it, and 3 months into it, you say, it's a really good tool, but I just don't have the time to manage it. Or it's not a good tool. I don't see the benefit, which I can't imagine, but cancel. There's no commitment. There's no long-term commitment.
You're not getting married. And even then, there's
And even then,
documents for that, right?
It's an easy divorce.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So, Mark, with all the things we covered, is there anything, like if there's one thing, maybe there's more than one thing, but if there's one thing that you could tell the audience specifically about Instructor Mobile, about the journey that it's on and where you see it going or whatever that is, what's that one thing?
I want people to try it. Just try it. I mean, there's no major commitment. You don't pay anything up front for the first couple of weeks to get going. If you do need help, we'll provide some help. You can always cancel, but just try it. I know when I see people using it, like Michelle at the awning company or
Mhm.
RJS in the machine shop, the moment they start to use it, they go, wow, This is so clever. Why didn't somebody think of this before? And what we need to do is just get what they call early adopters, people to give it a try because it's novel, it's new. We're not selling an LMS. There's 80 of those out there. We're not selling VHS tapes or laser discs or CDIs or CD-ROMs. We're selling a new delivery platform that is so novel that until you try it, you don't realize how powerful it can be.
Yeah.
But the moment you try it, you go, "Ha, what was I waiting for? This is crazy. This is great."
Perfect. So let's say someone's very interested after hearing this or wherever. What's the best way to reach you, reach out to you, your team? How does someone get started aside from visiting the website, which we want to make sure we mention? But what's another way if somebody has questions, concerns, wants to have a conversation?
We're happy to talk to anybody anytime. We answer emails and text messages, and I'm sure that you can put my phone number and
I can.
my email address up there. It's not a problem. But if they went to the website, they can click a button and instantly sign up for free and get their own portal set up for them. And we'll follow up within 24 hours with a demo to show them how to build a course, how to add a skill, how to shoot a little video with the cell phone. That demo takes maybe 20, 25 minutes. And at the end, the person knows exactly what they need to do to build out a skill. And to that point, one of the things we try and teach our new prospects, our new users, is just make one skill. Just pick one thing that somebody does in your business. Empty a bedpan. Mary, show me how you empty the bedpan. Take a little video, make a little explanation, and bingo, you got a skill. Now you can add 2 skills and 3 skills and 4 skills. Those, I'm sorry,
No, you're good.
those aggregate up into what we call categories. And then the categories aggregate up into a course. So you might have a course for nurse's assistant, and within that, the categories are housekeeping, patient care, meds, transporting patients in wheelchairs. And then with each of those categories, there may be 7 or 8 or 9 skills. But it all begins with a skill. Just pick one simple skill and build it. And from there, they're off to the races.
Okay. So instructormobile.com, right, is the website that they can go to. And I'll have a tag in the video for you there.
Thank you.
I'm an advocate and a firm believer in the product. I know that there is value out there that I just think is a matter of this kind of environment that we're in now to really explain some of those key pieces. Seeing it up front at a conference is great, and we've talked about this, but it's that overwhelming feeling to go, yeah, the concept sounds great. How do we use it? And I think we've covered a really good like detailed version of how can be used, the benefits on both sides of the trainer and the trainee. And I can't tell you guys enough. Like I've got restoration friends out there, I've got plumbing friends out there. You guys are doing all kinds of things like building contaminant walls. You're trying to figure out how to deal with flooded basements, and there's dryers and there's things that have to be set up. Plumbing, there's all kinds of piping. You could use your best people, do it once, and have training for a lifetime of the techs that you're going to run through.
Thank you. That's another point. You have it for a lifetime. Once the person does it once, imagine that person that comes to work and has to get OJ training, on the job training. Next month, somebody else comes in. They need on the job training. Next month, somebody comes in. They need on the job training. You do it once with Instructor, and you've got it in the can.
Exactly. And I think even with the people that I will share this with that follow my channels, I have to understand the importance of how quickly they could train consistently their field techs, their restoration techs, their plumbers, their other people they're adding to their team. This is so huge for them. It's an easy way to do it. You have it for a lifetime. You need to visit instructormobile.com. Mark, thank you so much for coming down here and hopping in the studio. It's been a pleasure. I'm assuming that we'll go grab lunch or do something, but I love hanging out with you. It's always a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Caleb, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.